Apparently someone is here at the hardware store in Railroad Town, and that someone is Casanova, our Director of Interpretive Resources. I think I'd get that right after all these weeks. And we are in the Railroad Town hardware store, and this place has a history, both outside and inside the museum, right, Kay?
Yes, it does. This is a really interesting structure, but I think we'll talk first about the fact that we are interpreting it currently as a hardware store. It became a hardware store in 1992. Prior to that, it was used as a Carrie Geiger's millinery shop. Some people might remember that. And prior to that, it was a stained glass studio and a kind of a crafting house. And that's just on the museum grounds.
Wow, so it's been a bunch of different things. So I imagine a lot of work goes into taking a building that is one thing and turning it into something else.
Yes, it does. It was a very interesting process. When the curators put together the hardware store in '92, a great deal of research went into it. Becky Maddox was the lead on that, and she put together a really good plan to turn this into a hardware store. And we worked really hard to come up with a lot of the things. And fortunately, we had a lot of things that we could put in the hardware store to do the exhibits. And we get a lot of questions about the things that we have exhibited, things that they were, a lot of people, oh, that was available back then? Currently, we're interpreting it as a hardware catalog store, or a catalog, we're interpreting it as a catalog hardware store. And that means that the hardware store would have a lot of catalogs that they could order things in for you that they might not necessarily carry in the store all the time.
So you were telling me off camera too that a hardware store is extremely important to a town for a number of reasons. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, the hardware store carries all the parts and pieces for you to build a town, and we are interpreting town building. So this is the place that you come to get your paint and your little pieces of hardware. You would get soap here. A hardware store at Christmas time would also offer a line of books and games and toys that you could purchase there. And then in the spring they would offer seeds and plants and all of that stuff, a lot like a hardware store does today.
Huh. Okay, so we talked about what this has been on the museum grounds. What else? This building has had other lives, correct?
Well, this building to me is considerably significant because it is most likely the only remaining original volunteer fire structure from the city that was used by the city of Grand Island. This house was built for the Ott Hose Company in January of 1892. And it was, I want to double check my date on that, Mike. Hold on. Oh, excuse me. January 92.
Okay.
Okay. The hose house was constructed in January of 92. They did it in like 2 weeks' time. But the whole reason it was constructed is because the city gave the hose company a hose cart called a Spider hose cart, and it's a 4-wheel hose cart, and they needed a place to put it. And that hose cart carried 500 feet of hose on it. The really interesting thing about this particular hose house is it was constructed on the property that was the county courthouse square. Today it's known as Pioneer Park, but this building faced First Street, so it was facing to the south on that block, and it was kind of central in that block facing there. And it remained in that location until after they built the new courthouse. About 1908, it was moved over to a lot just over across the alley from the Liederkranz building. It was not directly behind the Liederkranz, but on the opposite end of the alley. And it sat there, and it was still used by the volunteer fire department in Grand Island until 1921, when they went from a volunteer fire department to a paid fire department. At that time, sometime around then, I don't have the precise date yet, sometime around then, it was picked up and moved over to Koning Street. And There it was used as a polling place where you could go and cast your votes for a particular area. And then later on, it was used by the Art and Sketch Club here in Grand Island as kind of a clubhouse, and they could do art workshops and such in that location.
Huh. And it moved out here to the museum when?
1973.
73, so
Yeah,
it wasn't there when we opened in
It
67.
wasn't the first. It wasn't some of the first, but it was in some of the next waves that it came out here, and they brought it out here. They did not plant it in this particular location right away because they had to address some water issues. Evidently, this was a low area on the grounds, and so they had to kind of build it up before they could get the house sat down.
Wonderful. And I noticed from the Art and Sketch Club, there are a few little artistic flourishes in this building.
Well, and I think a lot of that probably came from, I'm not able to get a really good look at the original black and white photographs to tell, but I think that the addition of the stained glass on the windows might be when this was used as a stained glass studio. And how this was configured when it was a hose house is up to debate. It'd be really nice to find a picture of it in its original form. Haven't been that lucky yet, but I suspect that the giant picture window that we have over on the west end of the building is probably where there was a set of either double doors, some type of a barn door that they could open up and wheel out the hose cart.
That would make sense.
And my understanding is somehow in here they had some system where they could loop the hose so it could dry out.
Okay. Excellent. And a lot of people have been in this building, especially when they come to visit Railroad Town, and Railroad Town is going to be opening up pretty soon.
Very soon, very soon. We're getting ready. We're working really hard to make sure everything's in place and get our the citizens of Railroad Town back up to speed on how things are going to go, and then we'll be open.
And we'll be open in June, so head over to StewartMuseum.org for more info on that. But thank you for taking on this tour. These have been fun.
These have been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed them.
Yeah, they've been to places that I've never been, and I've worked here a long time, so it's fascinating to see and hear all the stories about these places.
Well, I think we could almost build a Railroad Town Trivial Pursuit game off of this.
That would be a lot of fun. All right, well, thank you, and yeah, head over to StewartMuseum.org for more info on when you can come out and see the railroad or see the hardware store for yourself.